It's here, our Empowered Within bonus clips and behind-the-scenes videos from podcast episodes. You can check out the pre-show, the post-show, and everything in between that doesn't actually make it into the podcast episodes. Head over to jenniferpilates.com, click podcast, and click watch videos, and you can watch never-before-seen podcast videos. Enjoy 15% off with this promo code EPWVideo15. Sit back, relax, and enjoy today's show. Welcome to Empowered Within, a soul-quenching, transformational podcast that will set your soul on fire through candid and inspiring conversations. Leading experts, celebrities, healers, and I share our journeys of how we've overcome challenges to living an empowered life from within. I'm your host, Jennifer Pilates. Welcome to another episode of Empowered Within. Hi there, and welcome to today's show. I am so honored to have with us Nancy McKay. Nancy is an ovarian cancer survivor who has been sober since March of 2009. She is a recovery and resilient expert, a certified life and equus coach who helps women find their voice and build their courage. She is the founder of Amazing Outlook Coaching, where she effectively and compassionately helps women face their challenges and change their mindset to bring transformational change to their lives. Nancy is an author and speaker. Her chapter in Ready to Fly, Volume 3, The Intersection of Desperation and Grace, is her inspiring story of recovery and creating a new life after cancer. Welcome, Nancy. I'm so happy to have you with us today.
Oh, thank you so much. It's so great to be here, Jennifer.
Yeah, so I want to jump right in, and I'd love for you to start with what transpired for you on Friday the 13th, March of 2009.
Wow, that was true Friday the 13th. I woke up, as I did every day, with a horrific hangover. My hands shook so badly I couldn't put my eyeliner on. And I felt that day even more emotional. I think I was having an emotional break that day. And I felt very shaky all day. I was physically shaky, but I also felt very mentally shaky that day and got through it. But we went to happy hour with some friends, and I had 4 ridiculously small glasses of wine. This bar was notorious for having those cute, small glasses. And so I had about 4 of those and a bowl of clam chowder. And then we decided to go home. And as I stood up, I staggered, which was unusual for me with that small amount of alcohol in my system. And I staggered out the door. And when we got home, I said to my husband, and I exclaimed, because it really was an exclamation, "My God, we forgot to stop at the liquor store. We're all out of wine." And he said, "I think you've had enough." And those 5 little words just threw me into a tailspin. And I got angry and marched into the bedroom and slammed the door and read him the riot act up one side and down the other. And then that turned into a pity party. And then that turned into everybody would be better off without me. And so the stories I had going on in my head were phenomenal, to the point where I got my husband's handgun out of the nightstand and put it to my head. And it didn't fire. I didn't realize the safety was on. I didn't know how to take the safety off. And so I lowered the gun. I figured out how to take the safety off, and the gun immediately fired. And fortunately, the only thing that got shot was an innocent pillow on the bed. I didn't have time to raise it back up to my head before it fired. And that took care of it. That ended my drinking career.
Oh my gosh. You're really leaving me speechless with that. What happened with your husband in that moment? Because surely you hear a gun go off and...
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He came running down the hall. He grabbed the gun out of my hand, hugged me, said, "What the fuck are you doing?" And after a minute of trying to gather his wits and mine, he left the room, punched a hole in the wall in the hallway, and went and hid the gun. I haven't had a drink since. The next day, I sat on our patio and read every book on drinking that I had collected over the years that I was too afraid to really read, and drank a lot of coffee and smoked a lot of cigarettes, and then asked my neighbor who was in recovery. I asked her for help.
So prior to this, did you ever feel like, oh, maybe I have a drinking problem, but...
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You suspected that something wasn't quite right.
I was always a party girl. I started drinking in high school, and I was a party girl. And the only thing that interrupted that early on was I got married at 19, and my husband didn't drink much. We just didn't drink much. And my drinking basically stopped for a couple of years until I got divorced. And then I started partying again. And I drank just like everybody else did for a long time. And then in my 40s, I started drinking more. I met my husband. We were best drinking buddies, and all of our friends drank just like us. But there were times when it was too much. And then I'd lay off for a couple of weeks just because I felt so crappy. Mm-hmm. But never with the intention of stopping drinking entirely. And then time went on. My father committed suicide. He was an alcoholic with an overdose of drugs and grain alcohol or something. And that was when I was 50. And the guilt and everything that I felt about his suicide threw my drinking into overdrive. And I was still highly functional, but I was, like I said, I had a hangover, a horrible hangover every day. And my hands shook really badly. And the only boundary that I hadn't crossed yet was drinking in the morning to stop the shakes, feel better. But I know that if I had not gotten sober when I did, it would have eventually turned into that. Mm-hmm. And then God knows, it's a fucking miracle I'm alive.
Truly is. And I'm very sorry about your dad. I can only imagine. That's just so traumatic.
It was traumatic. And I don't think I felt so guilty, and I was so angry that that's all I thought about until I ultimately tried it myself, because I didn't try to process it in a healthy way. Mm-hmm. I was just so wrapped up in guilt and anger that it got to the point where I couldn't live like that anymore.
God bless you for having such an incredible turnaround to where you are now. And I know that you've written a lot about why you feel that women have difficulty expressing that they're struggling with alcohol. Will you share that with us? I'm sure that there are so many people that are relating, but go, well, I only have 1 or 2 glasses of wine every night.
I try to help women become aware of why they're drinking in the first place. Underlying our behavior are thoughts and feelings. So our thoughts create feelings, and our feelings drive the actions that we take. And so if we're drinking, and over drinking especially, but even if we're just drinking a little bit, there's a feeling that drives that action, and there's a thought that drives the feeling. And so the question is, what are you thinking when you pick up a drink, when you pour yourself a glass of wine? What thought is going through your head? Are you coping with something? Are you angry about something? Are you happy about something? There's always a thought there. And one of the thoughts may be, I can't wait to have a glass of wine. I need a glass of wine. Let's have a drink. And that thought may create a feeling of shame or something. Something is creating shame. And that's why women hesitate to speak up, is because they're ashamed of themselves. They're embarrassed. They think they've done something wrong, and they haven't done anything wrong. Alcohol is an addictive substance. We're not expected to drink it and not become addicted to it. It's an addictive substance. And so when we become addicted, we think we've done something wrong. And that's just not the case. You can't shoot up heroin and not get addicted to it. you can't drink alcohol. And ultimately, it may take a long time, but it's an addictive substance. And it's at some point, chances are, if you have that element in your physiology, you're going to become addicted to it. Some people don't become addicted, but many people do. And if you find that you get home from work or at the end of the day with the kids or something, and you feel like you need a drink in order to cope, then that's when you know that you have a problem.
Because then you're using that as a coping mechanism on a subconscious level, most likely. So this brings us into why it's so important to understand your relationship with alcohol.
Exactly. We need to look at why we drink and explore that relationship. And am I drinking in order to cope? Am I drinking because I'm angry? Who am I angry at? There's every little bit unravels a layer of what's happening in your head and in your heart. When I talk about our thoughts create our feelings, it's our emotions and it's our physical feelings. If the thought of drinking makes you feel nauseous and embarrassed, they can go hand in hand there, then you learn something about yourself when you start peeling back the layers of why you drink. And so often the question is, why aren't you drinking? And the question really should be, why are you drinking? When we're out with friends and they want to know why we're not, it's just, why are you drinking? And our culture is the only, not the American culture, the human culture really, is alcohol is the only substance that we have to justify not taking. It's uncanny. It's just, nobody has to make an excuse why they don't take Tylenol or Advil or codeine or heroin or Percocet. Alcohol, for some reason, we feel like we have to justify it.
Right. It's interesting. When I hear you talk and I'm thinking, when you really look at it, it's a numbing substance.
Yep.
It is addictive.
Yep.
And society / the government is, here you go, have at it. We really want you to be numb.
Yeah.
And so then you have to go, I wonder why, which is
exactly
a whole nother ballgame. But yeah.
If people are numb, then they can't respond. Now, and it takes a lot of alcohol sometimes to get a lot of people to the numb point, because there's the buzz, which gets people jacked up. And then comes the numbness. But it's that first, for me, it was that first sip that just kind of went,
Mm-hmm.
And then depending on the circumstance, if it was a happy circumstance, then I was full of partiness. And if it was a sad affair or somewhat somber, then it relaxed me. So it just depends on what the circumstance is. And the circumstance can be created in our head. True circumstances are neutral, and there's something that everybody can agree on. So if we think that alcohol is the demon, so to speak, and let me be clear, alcohol is a poison, but alcohol in and of itself is a standalone. We don't have to consume it. So it's really a neutral circumstance. It's our thoughts about the circumstance that drive everything else. Alcohol is evil. Alcohol, I can't live without it. Alcohol, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's our thoughts about the circumstance that drives the train.
And very glamorized over the years. You think back to the 1950s,
Oh,
come home, very glamorized. So I know, thinking back to like my grandparents, then you think about your parents. So almost a learned behavior, which then can transfer into an addictive behavior in some respects.
Absolutely.
So, for those people who go, I really don't have a problem, y'all. Like, I'm having a glass of wine tonight. What's the big deal? And so that would be my question to you, to someone that says that. What is the bigger deal behind that statement?
I think, once again, you have to examine why you're having that one glass of wine a night. Is it something that you feel you have to do every night? Is it something that you feel like you could skip a night? It doesn't matter the quantity or even what the beverage is, alcohol-wise, whether it's beer, wine, spirits. But it's if there's a dependence on it, then that's an issue. Mm-hmm. If you can't conduct yourself normally without having that on board, then you might want to look at that. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have a problem, but you might just want to explore why you feel it's necessary to have that drink every night, mm-hmm. or zone out watching Netflix, or have 3 pieces of chocolate, or gamble every night, or whatever. An addiction is an addiction is an addiction.
Right.
We have to look at why. What's in it?
Yeah, that's really great. And how do you do that approach with your coaching?
So I do that by doing thought work. I work with my clients on their mindset. And we do this work called the model that does help us lay out what the circumstance is, what our thoughts are about the circumstance, how it makes us feel, what we do because of how we're feeling, and what are the results that we get. And it's a very clean way to take a look at what your thoughts are about what's happening in your life. When I got cancer, I could have thought, why me? Now, for some reason, and this was before I had any coach training, but for some reason, I never thought that. It was, why not me? Statistics aren't necessarily in my favor. But so you think about cancer being the circumstance, and then it's your thought. I'm going to die. Why not me? Why me? Whatever. And that is going to make you either accepting. So I was accepting. But it could have made me, if my thought was screw cancer or why me, then it would have been anger. Mm-hmm. And anger would have driven a different action completely. And it would have created all kinds of turmoil in my body.
What if it was possible to have local, fresh groceries delivered right to your door? Think of all the free time you'd have. Well, Instacart gives unlimited grocery delivery for one low monthly fee. Forgot that special ingredient in your favorite dish? Instacart can deliver it to your front door in as fast as 1 hour. You can shop multiple stores, see deals in your area, and save time and money. I've been using Instacart for over 3 years. I started using them in Arizona, and I'm using them here in Florida. I love the time-saving convenience. They pick the freshest products, and they keep my eggs safe too. To receive your first delivery free, follow the link in the show notes so that Instacart knows that we sent you and to help support the show. Instacart. Never step foot in a grocery store again. Eating better is the key to better health, and Mother Nature offers us all the right ingredients. Eating a healthy, balanced diet that includes plenty of fruits and vegetables isn't always easy in today's lifestyle. That's why Juice Plus offers Mother Nature's gift and convenient, easy-to-consume products that are as close to nature as they possibly could be. Plant-based nutrition from fruits and vegetables has been demonstrated by science to give your body the building blocks it needs to help you look better and feel better and live a longer and healthier life. Juice Plus products offer to improve heart health, the immune system, skin health, and other important aspects of health and wellness. I personally have been taking Juice Plus whole food nutrition for over 20 years. I swear by it. It's exactly what I need to help me keep my immune system healthy as it possibly can be. Juice Plus promise is simple. It helps bridge the gap between what you should eat and what you do eat every day. Nothing more, nothing less. Follow the link in the show notes so that Juice Plus knows that we sent you and to help support the show. Juice Plus, plant-based nutrition from fruits and vegetables, offers Mother Nature's gift to help you look better and feel better and live a longer and healthier life.
So it's just examining what your thoughts are about any circumstance helps uncover what's really driving it, what's really underneath all of it. And if we allow ourselves to go there, we're going to find out a lot about ourselves. And that's difficult to do on your own. It's really helpful to work with a coach or someone who will take you through that work so that, first of all, you feel like you've got some support, because you often uncover things that are very uncomfortable.
Right.
And difficult to deal with. And unless you have someone to support you, it's real easy to abandon the work. It's just too easy to say, okay, that doesn't feel good, so I'm not going to do that anymore. Yeah. At the point of maybe being able to shift something important. Mm-hmm. You have to walk through the fire and get to the other side. You can't go around it if you want to have really significant change in your life. You have to walk through whatever has caused you pain in order to get to the other side.
That's a beautiful statement, and I'm sure that was very well received to many of our listeners. How has cancer changed your life?
All for the better, number one. So I was 52. I was diagnosed with ovarian cancer on my 52nd birthday. And no, I got sober on my 52nd, or when I was 52, on my 58th birthday, pardon me. And what that did was it threw me into a change of perspective on my life. And at the time, I had a really good job with a great company, worked with some great people, and I was miserable as hell. And it had nothing to do with the cancer. It had everything to do with what I was doing for a living. And I just felt it was like, is this all there is? And it made me go back into the self-development pool. And so I started reading everything that Brene Brown had written. I took a class with her and I did a bunch of stuff. And finally, I came across Martha Beck and decided to enroll in her coach training. It was just from then on, I was all in. That was when I think I had turned 61 by that point, by the time I started training with her. And I've never looked back. I retired from my corporate job in 2019, and I'm going to be 65 in a few weeks, and I couldn't be happier. It's just been a total change of lifestyle for me and a total change of thought process. And people were looking at me like, what are you, nuts? You're supposed to be retiring, not starting a new career. And I was like, that's you do you, I'll do me. Right. And this is what I'm doing. And I don't ever anticipate really retiring because I love what I'm doing. And so I'll do it for as long as I possibly can.
I think that's beautiful. When you love what you're doing, you're not working, you're living and you're serving. And that's a beautiful gift to the world.
Yeah. Yeah. And my passion is to help anyone, but I focus on women. I would help anyone who needs help quitting drinking, looking at their relationship with alcohol. Mm-hmm. It's so important to me. It's important for me to talk about. I really want to shatter the stigma of alcoholism and addiction and trying to normalize not drinking in our culture. It's starting to take off. I'm going to happy hour tomorrow to a dry bar who, they do mocktails and non-alcoholic drinks. And I think it's the only one here in Denver that does that. So
how fun.
Yeah. They don't have any alcohol on the premises. It's great.
Oh, I think that could be a really new big thing.
I think it's going to be. Mm-hmm. And so I want to do everything I possibly can to encourage that, to cheerlead for it. It's very important for our culture to stop numbing and really start living.
Start living and start feeling. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So how does your coaching program differ? And what is the importance of working with horses with your coaching program?
That's probably the biggest differentiation for me, is working with the horses. And I still work with people virtually, like you and I are talking. Working with the horses is just magic. It's magic. And the reason why it's magic is because horses are so intuitive and they mirror back to us what we're putting out into the world. And so they know if we're bullshitting ourselves, to be quite honest. Mm-hmm. And so they won't interact or want to get close to you if they sense an incongruity in your energy. So if you work with me, we do our work in a round pen, which is about a 60-foot diameter enclosure. And So if you come into the round pen and you're like, I don't have any problem, nothing's bothering me, everything's great. My first question is, why did you hire me? But then the second question I would have, is that true? And because if you're vocalizing that, but inside you're worried about the fact that you're either going through a divorce or you're going to have to file for bankruptcy next week, or the kids are causing problems and you don't know what to do with them. So inside you've got this inner turmoil, and on the outside, your words, and on the outside, you're trying to portray that none of that is happening. So there's an incongruity there. Mm-hmm. The horse picks up on that. The horse can sense that incongruity in your energy. And as a result, they won't want to connect with you.
Wow.
Because they won't trust you. And so it's fascinating that if you're telling me one thing over here, everything's great, and the horse is on the other side of the round pen, then I know I need to ask some deep questions. That I need to do some digging. I've got my work cut out for me here. And it's not until we land on our truth energetically. You don't have to say, oh, okay, let me tell you what's really going on. You don't have to say the words to me. All you have to do is go, I'm lying. That's not true. This is true. So when you tell the truth, your body relaxes. It's, how they say it's a weight off your shoulders.
Right.
It really is. Your body just goes, here comes the horse. Because they see that you're in integrity. Your body is in integrity. Now they will trust you. Now they will be curious about, okay, what's going on over there? Something changed. I need to go check that out. And they'll come up, they'll nuzzle, they'll do whatever. But the fact that you've landed on something that has made you relax helps invite the horse, and the horse responds. Wow. And it's just what happens. And then that response from the horse really cements in a visceral change. And then you get this response, and it's just like, oh boy. And it really lands for you. And then, and we ourselves remember that it's visceral. And so then you can do the work around it so much more effectively, because you've got this proof right in front of you in this 1,200 pound. It's so powerful.
It's here, our Empowered Within bonus clips and behind the scenes videos from podcast episodes. You can check out the pre-show, the post-show, and everything in between that doesn't actually make it into the podcast episodes. Head over to jenniferpilates.com, click podcast, and click watch videos, and you can watch never before seen podcast videos. Enjoy 15% off with this promo code EPW Video 15. That's very powerful. It's very fascinating. Is one session, is it like an hour, and it's with you and it's in the pen with the horses?
Yep. I do 90 minutes. Okay. With the horses. A typical virtual meeting is 50 minutes once a week. And with the horses, I do either a short series of sessions or occasionally a one-off, whatever. And next year I'll be doing retreats. So
that's great. Now, about that. Are your retreats also in Colorado?
They will be all over, hopefully. My first one, not necessarily my first one, but I will be doing one in Arizona next year or later this year. And Colorado, maybe California, just depends.
We should have you look at Ocala, Florida. It's horse country.
Yeah, yes. Mm-hmm. And I have a dear friend who's an equus coach in Florida. So not too far from you, actually. She's in the Orlando area.
Oh, yeah. Not just right up the street. Yeah. Oh, yeah. My gosh. I would love to experience this. I was thinking when we booked this interview, and I was reading about your coaching, and I thought, wow, I don't remember the last time I was on a horse. I think I was just a young child.
Yeah. This doesn't involve riding. This is all groundwork. And so that's one of the things that's so great about it, is because people who are afraid of horses because they're afraid to fall off, there's no riding involved here. It's magic.
Wow. Oh my gosh. And the horses that you work with, is this your pen and your horses? How does that work?
They are not. They're not.
So you get to borrow horses.
I get to borrow horses, which is wonderful. I've got 2 facilities that I work with right now that on different sides of the city. One's kind of in the mountains and one's east of here. And so I've got my bases covered there. But so, yeah, I borrow horses, and so, which is really lovely because I get the best part. I don't have to worry about paying the vet bill and paying for hay and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, you just get to enjoy.
I also don't get to see them every day. So,
right. Wow. So it's so interesting how your coaching has evolved through the alcoholism, through cancer.
Yep.
So the question is, what's going to happen on your next birthday?
Yeah, exactly. I'm so excited. I really am excited for this birthday because I'll be 65 on 2/2/22. And so that has to mean something.
That's got to mean something.
Very excited. And I just know that this is going to be a great year. And really every year has been a good year for me. It's just, they're just different. And it depends on how you look at them. If you think the year sucked, then it's going to suck. If you think it's going to be good, then it's going to be good. So
exactly. It's all in your mindset. Nancy, we are getting to that time in the show where I ask you this one question. Are you ready?
I hope so.
What is one thing that no one knows about Nancy?
That no one knows?
Almost.
Well, let's see. I'm a very tactile person. And so I love textiles and working with my hands. So I do have a creative side. I am a weaver, although I haven't done any weaving for a few years, ever since I got busy with training to be a coach. And I also do needlepoint. So I love working with my hands. I love creating beautiful things. I used to be a kitchen and bath designer. So I have a creative side as well as I'm pretty right down the middle, left brain, right brain. I can be analytical and creative.
So cool.
It's pretty nice.
Yeah,
actually.
It works very well. It works very well with your practice.
It does. It does.
It really does. Thank you for sharing that. What one piece of inspiration would you like to leave with our audience today?
It's a twofold, but you can do anything you want. It's just a matter of making a decision to do it. And you're never too old to do that. If you've got a dream burning or something that you want to change in your life, you can do it no matter what. Really, no matter what.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Well, Nancy, Thank you so much for being here today and sharing your incredible journey and all of your talents. I'm so honored to have you here. Thank you.
It's an honor to be here. This has been very fun. I've enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah, so love having you here. And for our listeners, all of Nancy's contact information will be over in the show notes. You can hop over to jenniferpilates.com and you can connect with her, learn more about her coaching and how she works with horses, and even pick up her book over there. So once again, thank you so much, Nancy, for being here. This has been so much fun and so informative and very valuable. Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Well, as we say, until next time. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe to Empowered Within with Jennifer Pilates. Your feedback is important. It helps me to connect with you and gives me insight into who you are and what you're enjoying about the show. For today's show notes and discount codes from today's sponsors, head over to jenniferpilates.com. Until next time, may you live an empowered life from within.